Let's welcome in our co-host. He is the Admiral, and he's perfectly well equipped to go out on a wet day. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I have my slicker on, Rob. At least it's right outside of the studio. I'm ready to go out. Put my boots on, my slicker on. Just tell me what to do.
Are you the one that laid out the fox there?
There is a fox out there that's been dispatched overnight.
That's a flat fox, I can say.
It's a flat fox.
I haven't seen that before.
Yeah. Whatever killed him, it was helped by automobiles along the way because it sure is flat.
As Randy Quaid said in Christmas Vacation, that fox had 9 lives. He spent all of them. Let's welcome in the Badger, Delegate Michael Haidt.
Good morning, gentlemen. It's good to be here.
It's wonderful to have you.
Thank you, sir.
Let me tell you something. As people have said many times, it's the between show stuff that should be over there.
No. No, it should not.
No.
There's a lot of objections that are being sounded out right now. Let's welcome in our guests. He is the mayor of the city of Martinsburg, Kevin Knuckles Knowles. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good to have you.
I always get nervous when I see a stack of papers. I'm like, what's he gonna hit me with today?
Badger brought in a big stack. City Manager Andy Blake. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Great to have you guys with us.
Thank you.
A lot of rain in the area here lately. Are you guys, do you deal with the water runoff and the floodplain kind of stuff? Does it affect the city?
Well, it sure does.
Are you having any issues?
You can't predict how much rain is going to come, and these days it seems like it's more and more bigger storms than we've
bigger
had in
bursts,
the past.
yeah.
And those really short bursts, they tend to flood a lot of streets and everything, and there's really nothing that you can do about it because it comes down so quick, so fast.
You have a good public works guy.
You know what? We have the best public works guy in my book. Jeff Wilkerson has, goes above and beyond everything that's needed for the city to keep the city up and running and keep the infrastructure going. So I can't speak more highly than him.
He's very good with the requests for his time during winter storms and whatever. We always go to him to ask him to give us an update on the city. He's very generous with his time, does a great job.
Well, you couldn't ask for a better guy.
Yeah. Are you guys hiring in those departments right now, Andy? Are you still looking for help, or are you full staffed?
We have several job positions open. We're looking for a finance director. We're going to be looking for a new fire chief soon. Chief Hummingbird has announced his retirement. We're looking for an accountant. If anyone's looking for a job, go to citymartinsburg.org. We are hiring.
Oh, very good. Yeah. You have to post all those jobs publicly, right?
We do post those jobs publicly.
Yeah, okay. So how long have you been looking for a finance?
So Mark Spickler, who has been our finance director for over 30 years, he has announced his retirement effective May 23rd. He doesn't mind us saying this. His mom is ill, and he has taken time off to care for his mom, which is very respectful. Mark has done an absolute fantastic job. He's already missed. If you are a finance director out there and you have West Virginia experience, please call us. We are looking.
Yeah, Mark's a great guy, and we enjoyed having him on the show in the past too. So
we're going to miss him a lot. I'll tell you, between the two Marks, we had Mark Spickler and Mark Hammersley, the assistant finance director, who retired in January. We've lost over almost a half century of experience at one time. It's been kind of a little bit of a shock to the system, but I know more about the city finances probably than I ever have or will in my life.
Have you replaced Mark Hammersley yet?
We have hired someone for Mark's. She started in November. The whole point was to have a succession plan. Well, sometimes the best laid plans don't work out so well, and that's okay. That's life, and we'll adjust. We'll deal with it. But it has definitely been an adjustment. And again, if you're looking for a position, go to citymartinsburg.org. Yeah,
you don't realize how much work someone does until they leave.
Sure.
Sometimes people take things for granted. Not that I ever took anything that Mark did for granted, but any of those department heads within the city, the work and efforts that they put in for each one of those departments, the only way to find out is a situation like this, but I can't tell you. For Andy is thank God he has some mathematic background, because he ended up putting up that budget together for this coming year and worked diligently to make that happen.
Excuse me a second. You said you put it together, Andy, but you still had the two Marks, so you had Mark and the...
No, we did not.
Did not have either one of them.
We had neither one. That budget process, and Andy will correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't happen until after the first of the year. And by that time, Mark Hamisel was gone, and then Mark Spickler has taken time off.
Oh, you did not say it taking time off. Okay.
Yeah.
Is your fiscal year January 1 to December 30 or July 1?
July 1.
July 1. Okay.
And of course, the budget's due to the state by March 28th.
Okay.
What other positions do you hold, Kevin? Because I know you were in charge of the Mayor's Association at one time, or whatever that's called. You're the president of
Municipal
it.
League.
Thank you.
Well, currently I'm on track to be president of the Municipal League again. It'll be the first time somebody from Martinsburg has done it twice, and there's only one other mayor in the state that has done it more than once. And I'm secretary of the organization now, and I also serve as the vice chair for the Southern Municipal Conference, which allows me to represent all the mayors in West Virginia in the southern parts of the state.
And in Martinsburg government, are there any other people that are in charge of associations of any sort?
Yes, Jeff Wilkerson. This week happens to be Public Works Week, and he had just been inducted as president of the American Public Works Association Mid-Atlantic chapter down in Ocean City, and I can't tell you how much not only is he appreciated here in the city of Martinsburg, but through his, the people and his peers that he represents in that organization.
Mike Height, I think that there was legislation that was passed in the House of Delegates this year, and I presume it's been signed by the governor, but I don't know. Maybe you can update me. That moves municipal elections to general election, primary election days that all the other elections take place on. Is that a mandatory, or is that choice of the city if that has passed?
No, if it passes, it would be mandatory. They would have to coincide with the regular elections.
Has that passed? Been signed?
I don't know if it's been signed yet or not.
But it passed the House and the Senate, correct?
I think.
I believe you're right. I think
It has, and if it doesn't get signed, it becomes law anyway. So I mean,
Now, some cities, and I don't know about Martinsburg, some cities will have to change their charter because of it. It's in their
We would
charter.
too.
So, right. So they'll have to make that effect. And I don't, what's the effective date of it? It's not this year.
2032.
Yeah, that's what I thought. They pushed it out to
Yeah.
allow the city's municipalities some time.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues that municipalities would have to be able to take care of because you have overlapping precincts and it's going to be like a logistical nightmare to try to get that done. So I know that the city of Martinsburg is not planning on doing it for 2028. We want to see if anybody does that, what kind of problems they have, so that we can help correct those. And me personally, I'm not against that. I am against trying to put all these precincts together, which is a nightmare for our city clerks.
And I think that was the thought process. I think it came out of the House, and it was 2028 that was the effective date, and the Senate changed it back to the 2032. And I thought there was some discussion back and forth about the 2028 might not have given them enough time to make those changes that they needed to make. So.
Yeah.
But Kevin, talking about putting precincts together, the old days that would have been a tough job. And today's technology, the software, it's a fairly straightforward job.
Well, I'm glad you think that because we've had issues with as recently as the last
Yes.
couple elections where there's
Sure.
the precincts and were not lined up, and we had some voting issues because of it.
Was that a city issue or was that a county issue? I know that there were some issues within the county.
This was a county, and we didn't have any city issues.
Right, so it was like I believe Lisa White's district.
Yeah, I had-
and the 91st also had some overlap, but I think it was in
happened
the
to me.
city.
Yeah, well, it happened to me. I mean, in my district is Lisa White, and I had another delegate for that to vote for, and I brought it to their attention because if it happened to me,
Sure.
good chances that it happened to others. But keep in mind too, in that precinct, in that election there, that delegate spot only had 4 blocks in the city, which happened to be around my house, and we have now, instead of one representative, one delegate, we have 4 or 5 delegates that represent the city now. So when the restructuring came down, they there was some different lines that were made for state elections and county, and it affects the city. I mean, I believe, Andy, that it affected us when we did the levy.
Yeah, it was the police levy that we had issues, which was on the county ballot, but it was a city issue.
You know, you talk about that where we split up the city to different districts for the delegates, and also for the senators as well. It's split down the middle. A lot of people believe that was a bad thing to do for this city. I personally believe now you get more representation. You get more people involved that have a section of the city and now feel responsible for, what's going on in the city. So,
Kevin,
what's your view on
he's
that?
smiling. I don't think he agrees with you.
Well, no, not that I disagree. No, I mean, one thing I got to say, at least for me personally, I have a great relationship with each and one of our representatives on the state level. And, for the most part, I know it gets real busy down there. The communication is good back and forth, and it still doesn't stop some of the things that get passed that, maybe are not conducive to municipalities, but, that's the way it is.
In the last city election, if I remember, there was a 6.42% voter turnout. It would figure to go up if it becomes part of the general election cycle. On maybe the year that a president is running, it would be higher. It's not that much better for a primary, however, because if I remember correctly, Berkeley County turned out about 18 or 19% in the primary, so it wasn't that great either.
No.
So two people who run for office are with us in the room here. Any suggestions for what we can do to bring up voter turnout in the city and in general?
You know what? That's been historically like that. I mean, I think, me personally, think there'll be more people coming out for an election that's going to be all combined, good, bad, or indifferent. And as far as getting people out there, I mean, I don't know, Mike. What can we do? I mean, we do get the word out there. We're knocking on doors. We're talking to people. But just for whatever reason, we're not getting the turnout.
I think that you will get more people from the city will come out now if it's with it, because right now you're having them come out twice. You're having them come out in the primary, and then they have to come out 2 months later or a month later or whatever and vote in the city. I think you'll get a better turnout, but I think the bigger issue is, even if you said 18, I thought it was closer to 13. I could be wrong.
No,
but
I think it's 17.5.
17.
But the state as a whole was closer to 40 or 42.
Right.
So there was this particular area, Berkeley County, was much lower than the state.
Which is embarrassing in my perspective. I mean, that's, I don't know how you incentivize somebody to go vote. Most of us, look at it as a duty. That's how we get our representation. That's how we get our voice heard, is through the polling place. And, 17.5% is pathetic. And I don't know what, maybe it's the growth here and the influx of people, and they just don't know the candidates as well. I don't know. But
and
it's
I also think that, there's probably a lot of elections that don't have opponents. And, especially in the primary, you don't have too many people running against one another in a primary here locally. It's typically, one Republican and one Democrat, and then in the general election, you've seen a lot of empty slots as far as people voting. Speaking as a Democrat, I know that there's a lot of we've left a lot of open spots which we're trying to change moving forward, but. I think that takes away, people just say, well, they're going to win anyway, so why should I go out and vote?
But with the exception of the sitting incumbents, such as Mike Height and Mike Hornby, I think every race had an opponent in the primary.
In the primary?
I believe they did. I may be wrong, but I was thinking.
But on the Republican side?
On the Republican side,
sure.
you're right.
Yeah.
The Democrat
Right.
side, you're exactly
That's
right.
right.
No,
So, I mean, if you brought out another 18% of Democrats to vote, you're up to maybe 30%. So
That's a fair point. But I assume that's pretty consistent around the state, though. I mean, the Republican Party is pretty dominant throughout the entire state, and the Democratic Party is having trouble fielding candidates in many slots around the state, too. So why would their voting turnout be twice as good as it is in Berkeley County?
I think
the
Mike
rural
Height,
area.
Mike Height alluded to it. I think he did. Was the growth? The new folks coming in are not as engaged. They tend not to vote. Some of them do, but a lot of them do not. So.
And maybe they're voting where they used to live.
Or in both
Well,
locations.
I mean, that's been known to happen.
Andy, what projects are on tap for the city of Martinsburg going ahead here?
Well, May 21st and through May 23rd, we have some consultants coming in to look at rewriting and creating some historic guideline standards. Most of Old Town Martinsburg is in the historic district. Pretty much every exterior improvement that has to happen has to go for, it's called the HPRC. And it's been like that for a long time. If someone wants to put a sign up, they have to go to the HPRC and get approval. And hopefully this project is going to create some clear, concise standards. So if the business owner and or the resident who lives downtown meets those standards, that we can just stamp and issue the permit, so they don't have to go through the process of going through the HPRC, public hearing notice, all of that. Hopefully that creates a more conducive environment, not only for the business, but also for folks who live downtown, because what we really want to do is we want people to fix up. And we do not want to create unnecessary bureaucracy and red tape that prohibits someone from doing that. So we've shared that on our website, social media. We've emailed, text. We would ask that if you have any interest in the downtown district, give out your input. There's a survey out there for people to fill out to get their thoughts. So that's been a project. I tell you, I started off early in my career being a lawyer for the city of Martinsburg in the early 2000s. I represented the HPRC, and I always thought if I got a chance that this is a project that probably needed to happen. It only took about 25 years, but that's something that's coming up. The council is going to be considering the creation of a POTA district. Huntington, Morgantown, Charlestown, other cities have done that.
What is that?
The legislature's made some amendments which makes it more conducive. It's called a publicly outdoor designated area where the council can designate during certain days and during times of the day where basically you can have open consumption of alcohol. So if you have retailers or businesses that want to voluntarily participate, let's just say, for example, and I don't want to pick on businesses, but let's say you go to Stoney's, you get a drink, you can take that cup outside, and let's say if you want to go shop at Westwood Charm and Westwood Charm participates in the POTA district, then the customer can take their drink in there and do that. So we're looking at creating that district soon. And the council, you have basically you create a district map, and then let's just say there's a lot of places that have it from, let's just say, on weekends and maybe from 4 to 10 on weekdays. And it's totally voluntary by the retailers and or the drinking establishments whether they want to participate.
And
but I think it's been very successful so far in Huntington and Morgantown.
My apologies, I did not realize you. We've spent a lot of the past week talking about impact fees for the counties. Does the city have impact fees?
We have CIFs, capacity improvement fees for water and sewer, but we do not have impact fees. The legislation that was passed many years ago actually gives a little bit more broad authority to city to have fees than the frankly, impact fees are a little bit more rigid in what you can do with them, how you do with them, when you get to spend with them. Therefore, for the impact of growth, you're supposed to meet your level of service before you spend impact fees in order to accommodate the growth and development. And
I don't know how much growth the city could do unless you're annexing more land. I mean, you're pretty built out, I would think.
Well, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, I think there's about 1,800 homes that are planned for the city of Martinsburg. Is that?
Are there really?
We have several large apartment complex projects that are in the pipeline, both along Apple Harvest Drive in front of Argos. But we have several apartment complexes and multifamily complexes on the west side of 81 that the city has annexed in many years ago.
Are you tearing stuff down or building new on ground?
This is all greenfield. development. So we're not tearing anything down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we haven't. We're fortunate. If you go around to the other municipalities, that they have a lot of dilapidated buildings that they're tearing down. In the city of Martinsburg, we have some, but very, very few compared to other municipalities. Because I think we grew about 9% over the last couple of years, which is the fastest and largest growing city in the state at this point.
You mentioned capacity improvement fees. The county has those as well. So they'll keep those, I understand, but they'll have the impact fees on top of the capacity improvement fees.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the weeds. I think the city has a few other tools that it could use. First of all, the code doesn't talk about cities having impact fees. It just talks about counties. But I think part of that is because the city has a few other tools in the toolbox that we wouldn't necessarily have to do impact fees. Impact fees have never really been talked about by the council. We don't usually have developers come in, but there's tools such as TIF districts. There's community enhancement districts, which in a lot of states, a lot of developers use community enhancement districts. It really hasn't taken off here. The big development, Charles Point and Bridgeport, is taking advantage of TIF and community enhancement districts. I know Berkeley County now has a TIF district. Usually a community enhancement district goes hand in hand with that. So right now, we actually get along pretty well with the county these days, and we have conversations. And I actually was just with them for 4 days on a mutual meeting that we were at together out in Colorado, and we had good discussions about thinking about what they're talking about impact fees. So they're keeping us well abreast of what their thinking is.
About 2 minutes left. Anything new on Woodbury Avenue?
Not that I know.
Traffic study and such?
No, I think that's something that, me personally, I'm going to ask to take a look at a little bit more and see what the impact has or has not happened in that area, and kind of reevaluate, take a look at it. One thing about this POTA and the HPRC is we're also looking to put an art district within the downtown area. So we want to build up our arts within the city, whether it be murals or paintings or sculptures, whatever it might be, like you would see in other cities and other municipalities.
Have you heard anything new on your grant for the completion of the trails and the?
Well, I did receive some
Near
communication last week from Federal Highways where a new model agreement has come out, cooperative agreement that incorporates the new president's executive orders. So I think that there's movement within Federal Highways, and a cooperative agreement will be coming soon. That's our latest information. I know that the mayor's been in contact with Senator Capito and kind of got the same information.
So you're hopeful?
Very.
Well, I'm not pessimistic, which is rare for me.
I'll be very hopeful.
Yeah, because you were hoping to break ground in June for that.
Yes,
right?
Yeah. Well, maybe June of 27. Did I say what year?
It's been delayed. Obviously, it's not going to happen in June
of 26.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, but 30 seconds left. Final word is yours, Mr. Mayor.
Well, again, being that it's a Public Works week, I can't say it highly enough what Public Works here does for the city of Martinsburg and all the hard work that they do when they're needed. They're out there and nobody sees them, so they don't get the credit. So I want to give them the credit today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mayor Kevin Knowles and the pessimistic Andy Blake. Thank you, sir.
And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there this weekend.
Very nicely said, sir.
His wife will get him for that one.
Larry Schultz, Mike Carl, and Joe Ferretti join us next for the Friday Five.